You know, we've changed our thinking on that. When we first had DNA microbial diagnostics, we started thinking, you know, about every month, we probably should make sure the census doesn't change. You know what? There's a much more practical way to do that than just saying every month I'm going to send another sample in to see what's happening. Hey, bottom line is we do the DNA, we get the topical gel, we put it on. As long as the patient's progressing, there's no need to re-diagnose. The key here is not if, but when they stall, because if the wound, you know, stalling is really just a time-dependent matter. If the wound stays open long enough, eventually it will stall. Because if we pound the Germans, Turks, and Italians for a month and a half, the French, English, and Spanish move in, okay? So the bottom line is, so we get the gel, we put that on. As long as they're moving forward, there's no need to do anything. If the wound stalls, then that triggers us to re-diagnose, because we've probably got new players in there, and we're going to need to change our gels to address that new census. Now, I should say, we talk about the definition of stall. Again, this is my clinical opinion, not a protocol. However, you know, stall, you can find in text there's a clear definition of stall, how many weeks, et cetera, et cetera. In practice, though, you know, a couple, 3 weeks of a stall, that doesn't necessarily excite me that much. That just happens with chronic wounds all the time, depending on how the patient's taking care of it, all kinds of factors. But a stall longer than 3 weeks, boom, we're going to re-diagnose. Another thing that I would classify, well, it's not a stall, but would do the same thing. If I see something acutely change in the wound, that odor changes acutely. The pain for the patient changes acutely. Any acute sign in that clinical presentation, that's going to make me re-diagnose as well. So stalls and changes in acute clinical presentation is a tip for us that something's changed from a microbial census in that wound. And I would also add that if you did the first DNA diagnostic and applied the gels and the wound progressed, what you've actually done is proven that the microbial bioburden for this patient is significant, a significant component to them not healing. So when you get to the stall, it doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong. We just need to adjust what we're doing. The problem is still the same. If we manage the bioburden accurately and targeted, they're going to go forward.